Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? Well, Gaza has exploded again in riots and confusion, and tires are burning, and the smoke is rolling, and the bullets are flying. And now we have a report just now, at least 528 Palestinians have been shot, wounded by the Israeli Defense Forces all along the border with Israel. And we don't have any reports of any casualties or anybody dead, but certainly it is a horrific situation. Thousands. It happens every Friday. Friday prayers, I told you yesterday, look out. Friday prayers, they'll come out of prayer and they will start with their madness. And it has happened again. Thousands of Palestinians have converged upon the border in 5 different locations trying to break through the border. They're using burning of thousands of tires. The smoke is rolling so that the Israelis can't see as the Palestinians are trying to break through the barrier, try to break through the fence into Israel. And over 10,000 Palestinians are taking part in today's demonstrations. They plan on doing this, folks, right on and on and on until May the 14th on the 70th anniversary of Israel as a nation. And that's the same day that the United States will open its embassy in Jerusalem. I mean, this is huge what's going on. But the Israelis are using live fire. They're shooting those that are trying to break through the border. They're shooting them in a way that they're trying not to kill them. They're trying to wound them and back them down. So far, 528 have been shot and wounded. None have died. And so we're continuing to watch what's going on. Now, you say, well, why does this keep going on in Gaza Strip and the Gaza area? You can go all the way back into biblical times, folks. Gaza has always played a major role in conflict with Israel. The Palestinians live there now. Of course, back in the day, biblically, they were known as the Philistines, and they were idol worshipers as they worshiped Dagon and Baal. And even Israel got into this idol worship later, and they had to repent of this. And the prophet Elijah had to come in and pray that God would stop the rain and expose the abominations of King Ahab and his wife Jezebel. But listen what happened. Here's what it says in Judges chapter 1, verse 18. Also Judah took Gaza. Now, you know the tribe of Judah is also the same tribe that brings Jesus Christ to the world, the Messiah. Judah took Gaza with the coast thereof, also Askelon and the coast thereof, and Ekron with the coast thereof. And the Lord was with Judah, and drave out the inhabitants of the mountain, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of iron. And who were they? Well, they were the Philistines and today's modern day Palestinians. Now, if you go with me to Judges, stay in Judges and go with me real quick. This is a prophecy alert. Something else very prophetic took place in Gaza that people don't even realize, and that's the great story of Samson and Delilah. Samson, the great champion of the Israelis, would go into Gaza and find a woman by the name of Delilah. She was a Philistine, and he would stay with her and lie with her. And she began, the Philistines said to her, you got to find out where his power is. What's the source of his strength? And she continues to work him until finally he tells her that his power is in his hair, that he had taken a Nazirite vow as a child. He was raised as a Nazirite. His parents had received this instruction from the Lord. And he was to never cut his hair, never drink wine. And so it says in Judges chapter 16, in Gaza, that when Delilah saw that he had told her all of his heart, She sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath showed me all of his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep on her knees, lay down, put his head in her lap. And she called for a man to come, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head while he was sleeping. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as at other times before, and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. But the Philistines took him and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters and brass, and they put him in the prison house, and where he was grinding at the meal. But later, God gets the revenge. His hair begins to grow while in prison, and when they are having a big festival, worshiping their god Dagon, the lords of the Philistines in Gaza decided to bring Samson out of prison to make sport of him, to make fun of him, a blind champion of Israel in Gaza. But Samson asked the young man that brought him into the stadium, where is the pillar of which the stadium is held up? The main support beam, basically. And the young man shows him, or leads him by the hand, and has him put his hand on it so he would know where it was at. It's at that moment that Samson asked God to help him and deliver his enemies into his hand. And the Lord blesses Samson one more time with the power of God. And he takes down the stadium, killing more Philistines in that day. 3,000 men and women died that day in the house and in the sporting event of Dagon down in Gaza. So here we are now, 70th anniversary of Israel as a nation. And it is Gaza has become the front lines. It's Gaza that the eyes of the Israelis are being blinded by the smoke of the tires. It is Gaza where they're being lured down to try to defend. It is the town of, again, Ascalon and Akron that the Palestinians will fire rockets and try to hit those cities. It's still happening today, the conflict. But the final victory will lie with the Israelis. I'll be back with more current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. We're living in the last days. Are you saved? Don't miss today's live broadcast. Starts at 12 noon Eastern. That's 12 noon Eastern at my website at www.paulbegleyprophecy.com.